It is the single most important ingredient to a successful short sale. It is an appraisal or evaluation done by a real estate agent, sometimes done by an appraiser, in which case it's called an appraisal instead. You always want to request specifically for an interior BPO or appraisal. Some banks will have somebody drive by. That's not good enough, because if they drive by, they don't need to contact you. And if there actually is work that needs done, then they absolutely need to get in there to properly evaluate the house, because it's easy to compare a bunch of nice houses with your house, and all those houses might have had renovations, and they might have marble, and they might have had new roofs, and everything completely redone. And then they compare that house to your house, and yours has, say, some problem with it. Really screws things up if they drive by. But what you really want is them to come by so that you can meet personally the person who's doing that evaluation and be able to offer them something that would help them come to the conclusion you need to in order to do the whole short sale successfully. To that end, continue to call day after day. Make your calls. You need that broker's price opinion. Like I said, try different numbers and try to talk to different departments. A personal story, when I was calling for a broker's price opinion, I had a deal where I would call for weeks to the person I was told was in charge of a specific account. Finally, I got fed up and called the call center instead of calling directly the guy and dialing an extension to get a hold of this particular gentleman. I called the call center. They tried to refer me back to the same guy that was never calling me back. And I said, I told him, I said, this guy sucks. He hasn't called me back. The buyer's getting ready to walk away from the deal. And the lady I was talking to said, I understand, but almost all of our agents are so behind. They don't answer their phones and they don't call anyone back. And I was like, well, that doesn't help any, I said, we need an answer because the only loan program the buyer can get is about to expire and the deal will go away. I finally was able to convince the lady to page the rep. And so that's something I never would have thought of, but she actually came up with that on her own once I shared my problem with her. She came up with that idea, oh, well, maybe I can page this person over the intercom. So that's a lesson for you. Try asking that your person be paged so you can just get them on the line right there. Also, a lot of times the person on the call center can text message the representative working on it or get a quick response on an email while you're on the line. But another thing you can learn from this is I was able to transfer my problem to her so that now it was her problem. And she was able to share my problem and think of a solution for how we could contact someone who never really calls back and actually get that person on the line. And after the first time I actually got this person on the line, then that person kind of knew me and started calling me back and answering the phone when I called. So I convinced the lady to page that rep, and we were successful getting an acceptance of the offer and getting the broker. The main thing right then was to get an appraiser out there, and that happened, and we did get an acceptance letter. You followed up using your own tenacity. You're able to get that appraiser or real estate agent to give you a call. The bank ordered it. Now they're giving you a call, and you schedule an appointment for them to come to your house and check it out. Even if your house is vacant, you want to schedule to meet them there. Don't let them pick up a key or go in a lockbox or anything like that. You need to schedule to meet them there. You want to do when you meet this person, when you actually you meet the person there, you want to do everything opposite of what you would do if you actually wanted to show the house to a buyer. You want to complain about what's happened with prices in the area. You want to talk, man, the economy sucks. Everybody's getting laid off. I hate this. You want to light cat urine smelling joke candles. Not literally, but you get the idea. You want to make everything bad. Burn something in the oven. Make sure the black mold is in full view. In fact, label it. Take a big marker and write on the wall, arrow, black mold. Make sure you take pictures of it to show the bank that you can put it in a packet. Take pictures of bad things, have them develop, and stick them in a packet for the appraiser. Point out all the repairs and make sure that he takes pictures of the repairs. Tell about how horrible the neighbors here and how the neighborhood is going down. I mean, do these things if you can. If it's really awesome and you'd be lying to say otherwise, don't do it. They'll know you're lying, and it's not going to help any. But point out everything and find the worst slant that you can if you feel comfortable doing it. everybody has a different personality. And I'm going to talk about a packet to put together too, which you could just hand them and do that too. But the more you can do to influence things, the better. You also want to thank this person for taking the time to come and evaluate your home. Just let them know that you really appreciate it and act as if they're doing it for you, even though they're not. You want to hand the broker's price opinion agent or appraiser the following packet in a folder. Okay. Include in that packet the following. Include a sob letter, similar to the letter you explaining your situation to the bank, but make it a little less like it's still factual, but don't just stick to the facts. Try to involve them somehow in your emotionally in your situation. Just explain how bad things are for you, and just explain that this is a short sale. In order to sell, we have to have a fair value that accurately reflects how much the market has gone down, and it accurately reflects how much work the property has. Make sure you specify that, and just let them know that you appreciate them working hard to really get an accurate value. Also explain to them that you need a value around X to make this work, and this current offer that you have is the best you've been able to get. Also, you're going to include in that packet the offer that you're talking about in your sob letter. Also include, if you have one, an inspection report, especially if it's bad. Now, there could be some different ways you get an inspection report. We talked about paying for an inspection report, and that's going to be your most detailed, best report to give them. Some cities require a point of sale report, so you would include that as well. If you have a septic system or a well, a lot of times the health department will want that inspected, and so you can include that as well. If there's any work that needs done, also you can include a contractor's estimate. And for this packet, you're not going to want to find the lowest contractor. You want to find a premium contractor that's really going to charge a lot of money, because you want to because very likely that's what a buyer would be looking at when they buy the house, and you want to let the appraiser know that. So find the most expensive person in the biggest yellow page ad, the person with the biggest building, to write up an estimate of what it's going to cost to totally fix the house and make it super, super nice. If you feel comfortable doing it, or you're able to get some comparables from your realtor that support the offer that has been made and that you're requesting this broker's price opinion for, then include that in the packet as well. And also include any lower offers that are lower than the actual signed and accepted offer. If you happen to have gotten any lower backup offers, put those along with it. You want a nice full packet to give to this person, and hopefully that will influence them and give them a cue of how to value a house. Valuing a house is an art form. There's a lot of subjective elements to it, and it's simply an opinion. So if it's going to be an opinion, make sure that it's not an opinion that hurts you and keeps you from being able to sell your house and move on. You want to let the appraiser know something. You might let them say something like, I will most likely need a value to come in right about, and then name the amount of the currently accepted offer in order to sell this house to my current buyer. Do you think it's likely that the value will come pretty close to that? Go ahead and ask that. Usually they'll say, well, I don't really know. Can't tell you exactly, but we'll see what we can do. And if they say no, they can't get that value, you would maybe ask them, well, how close to this amount do you think you could justify for a value? Ask them something like that. You want to also ask the appraiser while you're with them how long it will take to get the appraisal back to the lender. Typically, they always tell you it's a rush. It's going to be in a couple days. But typically it takes a week plus for the lender actually to have it registered in their system. Because typically there's several parties that the BPO got ordered through when they outsourced it. So it takes a little while for all the system to work out. So you want to make sure you follow up with your lender to make sure the broker price opinion has been received. On exactly the day that the appraiser or agent told you it would be there, call up your lender and see if it's there. If it's not, figure out what's happened, ask around, and maybe they need to reorder it or call around and see where it is. Once I got a call from an appraiser to appraise a short sale of mine. He was doing a drive-by appraisal, and I freaked out because I thought I had told the bank I needed an interior appraisal, and here this appraiser is doing an exterior appraisal. So I gabbed with him, I talked with him on the phone and told him about how crappy the house was. I just talked it up, and I told him about all the problems from the inspection. I told how just horrible it was. It was just about to fall down almost. And I emailed him the inspection report that showed it to be totally deficient. Later, I found out that appraiser was not for the short-selling bank. It was actually for the buyer's new loan on the property. And it almost killed the deal because he never went in to actually verify what it was like, and the way I talked, it must have been some kind of horrible house. So he downgraded the tier of how nice the house was, even though he'd never even been inside. So I sent that appraiser an explanation of why I was talking so low about the house and suggested that he actually needed to get in. And that's the only way we could get the appraisal right for the buyer to be able to get the loan on that property. Don't make that mistake. Make sure you got the right appraiser if you're going to talk about how bad the property is. The real appraiser for the short sale actually did come out, and I gave him the same thing, and the value came out right. So it ended up being successful. We were able to complete it for really good benefit to the seller. Just be careful who you're talking to. Make sure you call your lender. Continue to follow up until that appraisal report's back. Usually pretty quickly after the appraisal report is back, you will have some kind of evaluation, and they'll pretty quickly be able to negotiate and accept or reject your offer, or come to like some, may possibly counter your offer, come to some idea of where you're actually at, what you need to do in order to get an accepted offer.